What if the universe and you become two-dimensional? Imagine that at some moment, the entire universe becomes two-dimensional. Only length and width exist and height is gone. This is not just a flat picture. It is a different kind of physics, different survival rules, and a different logic of matter. And most things we consider normal would simply stop being possible. Atoms, as we know them, would almost certainly not survive. In three-dimensional space, electrons wrap around a nucleus as clouds of orbitals. In two-dimensional space, quantum mechanics behaves differently. Binding potentials, stable states, and charge screening all change. There are scenarios where stable atoms either do not form at all or behave radically differently. If stable chemistry collapses, there is no water, no DNA, no proteins, no fire, no metals in the way we understand them. Even if some kind of flat atoms existed, the range of chemical reactions would likely be very limited. In three dimensions, molecules can move around each other in space. In two dimensions, they get trapped by geometry. Many reaction pathways disappear, and collisions become brutally direct. Gravity would become strange, and orbits might vanish. In three-dimensional space, gravitational force drops roughly like 1 over r squared. In two-dimensional space, similar fields often behave in a logarithmic way because field lines do not spread into a volume. There is no volume. The result, stable orbits, like planets around stars, may stop being stable. So a solar system in our familiar style becomes questionable. Things may fall into the center, fly apart, or survive only in very narrow, fragile conditions. A world without true knots, without real three-dimensional objects. In three dimensions, you can tie a rope into a knot, weave a chain, make rings you cannot separate without breaking them. In two dimensions, this almost disappears. Most entanglements can be undone by sliding one shape around another within the plane. That sounds minor, but topology is fundamental. Many stable structures in three dimensions exist because they cannot be untied. No complex organisms in the usual sense. Here is the shocking part. A digestive system, a circulatory system, and a nervous system work in three dimensions because tubes can pass over and under each other. In two dimensions, you cannot build two independent pipeline networks without crossings once the plane is crowded. A crossing in two dimensions means a tear, a hole, or forced mixing of flows. So intestines, blood vessels, and airways begin to interfere with each other. Even if life were possible, it would likely be ultra-simple, like thin patches or strands where one function destroys another. You cannot have insides without ripping yourself apart. In two dimensions, any organism is an area on a plane with a boundary. If you want a cavity inside, like a stomach, you need an inner boundary. Then you become like a donut, and any attempt to route something through you becomes effectively a cut. A near-horror consequence follows. To pass through someone in two dimensions is to split them. Electricity, magnetism, and light would also change fields in two dimensions, do not just get weaker or stronger. Their geometry changes, because field lines have nowhere to spread into a third dimension. This affects how fast field strength drops with distance, how waves propagate, which radiation patterns are possible. Light can still travel, but optics would be different. Lenses, focusing, and diffraction become a different game. The biggest blow to intuition, density and volume stop existing. In three dimensions, mass is spread through volume. In two dimensions, there is only area. So density becomes mass per unit area, and many core formulas must be rewritten from scratch. Pressure, for example, in three dimensions is force per area. In two dimensions, the analog becomes force per length. That changes how materials bend, break, and hold shape. The survival paradox. Even if something lives, it can barely be complex. A two-dimensional world punishes complexity. When a system tries to become multifunctional, its networks, nutrients, transport signals start to collide geometrically. It is like trying to build a megacity with roads, subways, sewers, and cables, but you are not allowed to build tunnels or bridges. Sooner or later, everything turns into one giant traffic jam. In one sentence, a two-dimensional universe is a reality where geometry crushes complexity. Not just flat, but flat in a way that makes most of our matter, chemistry, stable orbits, and especially life as we know it, either vanish or transform into something so different we would not recognize it as a universe.